It's Local Edition. Brad Pomerance here. We are in Carson City inside the state capitol, and we are joined by Chris Edwards. He is a member of the Nevada State Assembly. And I must tell you, sir, I have rarely seen an issue that has engendered as much support and as much opposition simultaneously as I have with educational savings accounts.
Yes.
It is unbelievable.
Yes.
You love them or you hate them.
And I love them.
And you love that.
And most of the people in my district love them as well.
And I want to talk about that. I remember seeing pictures, folks with yellow scarves on, supporting school choice broadly, but ESA is kind of a surrogate for that. Explain to us, to our viewers, what is an ESA in Nevada?
Right. And an ESA is that the state government or the school system will be transferring a part of the money that would normally go to the student if they stayed in the public school. So here we have about a $9,500 per student amount. About $5,100 would go to the student to choose whatever other school they want to go to help them out.
Any school.
Any school.
It could be a non-sectarian school, it could be a religious school, it could be a sports academy, homeschooling, it could be anything.
And it's parents' choice, which is a great thing. What a lot of people forget is, or they don't know, is that about $4,400 stays with the school district. So for every child that takes an ESA, they leave behind almost half the money that they would have had if they stayed in the public school. So it's a big boom to the public school districts.
Let's talk about the particulars, because I think it's fair to say, not completely, but the issue has broken down on partisan lines. And your friends on the Democratic side, there's a queasiness about it. And as I've spoken with them, what's made them queasy is that the money could move to schools. Yes, it goes through the parents, but the money moves to schools that may discriminate based upon religion. And again, discriminate's a tough word, but may select based upon religion or identity, and so it makes Democrats queasy.
But you know, here's the great thing.
Go.
Is the parents are the ones choosing the school, not so much the school choosing the parents.
Talk me through that, because what your friends on the Democratic side would say is that's just, semantics, that's, gymnastics with verbal words.
Well, in the session last, in 2015, we got the information out that there's over 200 non-public schools in the state.
Right.
Less than half of them are religious affiliated schools. And I don't think that the Democrats fully appreciate that there's over 100 schools that the parents could choose from in case you don't want to send them to religion.
What's so interesting about this conversation is religious schools do bring up the ire of the Constitution, because the Constitution talks about a separation of...
But the Constitution does not talk about separation of church and state. What it says is that Congress shall make no laws prohibiting the free exercise of religion.
Or establishment thereof.
Okay.
Or establishment... But here's my point.
Yeah.
You know this much better than I do. It's all perception, and the perception is that you shouldn't be spending state dollars on a religious institution.
But let's consider this. Most of the social services in Nevada and across the country are done through religious affiliated schools.
You're good. Or associations.
Right.
Organizations.
And quite frankly, think of St. Jude's.
Right.
Who's going to argue with St. Jude's? Who's going to argue with St. Rose? Who's going to argue with any of the other social networks? Matter of fact, I'm on the board of the Lutheran Social Services Network. They reach out to everybody. And if they didn't, the government would do it at 20 times the cost.
And you don't have to believe me or Chris Edwards, because the Nevada Supreme Court weighed in on this.
Yes.
And for all intents and purposes, they upheld the ESA. They have an issue with funding, and that's part of the challenge now, though, is that needs to be cleaned up. And with partisan control flipping in the legislature, it may be tricky.
Well, actually, I would say this. The Supreme Court and the lower court pretty much said there's no religious concern here. They said there's a funding concern because of the way the Constitution is written, and that's something that we can easily overcome, and we will.
Here's the challenge. it was a tough year for Republicans in Nevada in 2016, and your friends on the Democratic side now control the Assembly and the Senate. Not everyone's monolithic, and so who knows how the votes will come down, but you'll need their support to fix the funding mechanism.
True.
Do you feel like they're willing to help?
Absolutely. And I believe that there are several of them on the Democratic side that are absolutely open to the idea.
Right.
And I think that the teachers union, by saying, well, we're kind of okay with this, gives the rest of them cover so that they can say,
Does give them cover.
you said it'd be okay. But I think they're going to realize that the governor is going to absolutely push for it.
He's gone to the mat on this.
That's right. And
$16 million worth of going to the mat on this.
and that's a good start. But we, on the Republican side, are going to push for it. We're going to fight for it. And if the governor has to take aggressive action of vetoing bills, we will sustain the vetoes.
What do you think about some of the folks who are looking towards a compromise position? Let me give you some examples. Some folks are talking about putting an income limit on the program. So the argument would be, wealthy people don't need the $5,000. Let's reserve it for folks at a certain income level.
Okay, and
Please.
Here's one of the things that I've come to see more and more in the legislature is when we talk about a lot of these programs, they always want to means test everything down to the free lunch level. Well, the free lunch level means that if you earn more than $42,000 a year, you don't qualify. In my district, I've got a lot of two-parent families where both the mother and the father go out to work every day in order to provide for their kids. But because they go out and they work hard and they bring in 50, 60, 70,000, they're excluded. So I can't in good conscience support the idea that's going to exclude my people.
What about, and again, I'm just putting it out there, only allowing ESAs in failing school zones?
No, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of it. I mean, the state has received tremendous accolades across the country because we have made it the most universal program. And I think there's something to be said for treating everybody equally, where everybody has a fair shot at it.
Now let's take it even further. I'm going to flip the script on you.
Okay.
Is $5,000 enough? I mean, how many private schools?
Actually, in many cases it is.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. My neighbors have been trying to get their kid into a private school, but they're about $2,000 or $3,000 short. The ESA would give them everything that they need for their son.
But honestly, should it be $10,000? I mean, let's take this. Let's take this.
And if we wanted to,
why not the entire per pupil amount?
That could be more equitable. I mean, let's face it. If we're going to treat all the kids equally, well, then whatever amount is designated for their schooling should follow the student rather than follow,
But aside from all the religious concerns, we'll put those aside. I mean, that would hit public schools hard. That would be a big hit.
Well, no, actually, again, it helps them.
But if again, this is a great conversation. But if you took the entire amount, would it be a hit? And I can say no because this kid's gone anyway.
Well, consider this. We are in the process of trying to build 200 more schools to accommodate the number of kids. Okay, because we got overcrowding out, everywhere. This actually can serve as a safety valve to divert some of that growth to other resources so that you don't have to take care of it.
He is Chris Edwards. He is a member of the Nevada State Assembly. He is joining us inside the state capitol in Carson City. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's Local Edition.